everyone, welcome to Laurie's Little Studio. I'm Laurie, and today we will be working on this, making a pattern and stitching up a little camisole. So I'm going to be using this fabric. It's a white, it's called petticoat batiste. It's very light. I would equate it to Barissima, which is what I originally made this camisole out of. I'm making it for my daughter Candice. Excuse my voice, it is allergies from tree pollen. To use this paper to trace, it's just a lightweight parchment that I have found doesn't really work very well for my needs in the kitchen. So I got a new piece of furniture and for the kitchen yesterday, and I was cleaning out all the, the shelves and the drawers and everything, and I ran across this and I thought, aha, I have a perfect thing I can use this for. So I don't want to use my fabric scissors to cut it, so I'm going to find a different pair or one of these. I wonder how this would work. This blade is ancient. Let's see. Let's just see. I can straighten out this end and test it at the same time. Not bad. Okay. I don't want to get this ink on this because this is permanent ink. Ooh. Alright, I'm going to see if I can draw a straight line from there to there. With this ruler. Alright, I'm going to set it, drag this over, okay, and then push it out for my seam allowance. And I really have to push down hard because this ruler wants to slide. Okay, so let's see what I have. But before I cut it, I'm going to write okay, so this is piece 1 for the camisole. And now for the back. I was just wondering where my thimble was, and I saw it just now in the scissors box. That's the way my life goes. Here's my fabric, and if I'm not mistaken, I will check, and if it's different, I'll pop the number up here. But I believe this fabric is 54 inches wide. I want to cut one on the fold for the front and one on the fold for the back. So the way I will do that is open it out and fold one selvage edge to the center, and if that is enough fabric, then I can do that for both pieces instead of just cut one out of the fold and have all the other fabric kind of wasted. I want to preserve as much of this as I possibly can, so I'm going to make sure it's flat. Feel any folds or bubbles or ridges or anything. Oh, I didn't write. Okay, so you know how when you're cooking and your parchment paper just keeps rolling up on you? So the latest information is to crinkle it up, but I don't want to crinkle up my pattern piece, so I'm going to fold it in a couple of places and see how that does. Okay, that's much better. And I need to put this is the fold. And in this particular case, I'll have to flip this pattern piece over. This is the top. This is the bottom. And the other thing I'm going to do is check. Fold this one in. This is the front piece. I'm going to fold it in half. So if you have to, you can kind of crumple those edges. Okay, so put it on the fold. If I line this up with the hem even, yeah, that's perfect, just like that. Okay. Alright, so it looks to me like I have got plenty of room . And I can use my scissors. I'm going to make sure that I leave myself a little bit extra around the edges. Never hurts. Okay, and I'll deal with the leftover fabric another day. I have a projects in progress, but I'll put this over here. Okay. Alright, so the next step is, if I had markings, this is when I would mark these two pieces of fabric. This is the back right here, and this is the front. Now I might want to do some embroidery on it, and if I did, I could do that right now. But I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it plain. I'm just going to deck it out with lace. So the first thing I need to do is put this fabric right sides together and do some seams. Now in the past I would do French seams, but my girls are grown up and I'm not going to be unpicking their stitches and letting things out as they grow. They're done growing. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my regular everyday 2.5 seam on the sides. But before I do that, I am going to roll and whip across this top here and armhole across the neck and armhole. I don't want these edges to be raw, and I'm going to eventually be attaching this Entredeux to these raw edges. But I also want to make sure, before I begin that this side seam is going to match up with this hem, and I've just cut it a little bit bigger down here in the front, and I don't need it to be that big, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these to be exactly the same. Okay, alright, and then I've also got some darts that I have to do on these two little points. This is the front, and we want this to conform a little to the body. You want it to kind of hang out like it should in that top area. So just kind of using this as a guide, I'm going to fold them over, yeah. So I'm going to fold it over, and then I'll show you as soon as I get this pinned. So I think you can see the fabric through it. So my dart will start here and end here. And I can use my friction ink pen and just make a little dot there, right there, and then match up these two pieces there. Alright, and then I'm going to fold this in half so that I get exactly the same measurement on the other side. So where I made this line right here, I will mark this. Right there. and fold this over. Okay, and then I want to see if my darts are starting and ending in the same spot. So I'm going to line up these, oh, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? These two ends where the arm side ends over here and here. I'm going to line those up on the same line, like right there, and I can use my pattern weights. Okay, and I'm going to take my ruler, make sure everything is straight. I think it ends right there. Okay, I'm going to put that on the line right there. I guess you can see from here to here, and I'm going to draw a line so I know it's the right one. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is stitch these on. Okay, there are the darts in this garment's construction. And the next step is the roll and whip, and that's going to take a lot more thread than I have, so I'm going to have to order more thread. Make sure that's coming. Today is Sunday the 7th of April. It'll probably be here Monday or Tuesday because they're very fast. So we'll get back to work on Monday or Tuesday. I will see you then. Good morning. It's been a few days, I think since this past Sunday, and today is Wednesday, since I recorded anything. Candice and Rob came over on Sunday instead of Saturday this week, and she tried this on. So keep in mind that when I made this for her, it was over 20 years ago, and it was loose, and she did not have her current adult-sized chest measurement. So measuring the new one off of this didn't really work very well. So what we decided to do is keep this as it is, but add a strip here, or was it on the front? It doesn't matter actually because they're both the same. So add a wedge. It's like it will start out and then it will work, work its way down into nothing. So wider at the top and narrower at the bottom on both sides. And she's fine with it being very loose, and that's good because I think it may be, once I get that added. She loves the choice of lace and of course the Entredeux. So the next step that I need to do is cut those two wedge shapes and get them stitched down. So the next step I think would be to continue this curve right here. So I'll need to, I haven't stitched the other side yet, but once I get that done, I'll need to draw this curve into this additional piece. Now that I've got it pressed, I'm going to stitch down this seam. It will show on this side, but I just feel like it's necessary. And because it will be in the underarm side seam area, it won't be very obvious. This garment is an undergarment, so I just feel like it's, you know, it's okay if it's under the arm. I want to compare where I made this little, as you can see, this is the front lower hem and this is the back lower hem. There's this little area right here, and I want to see how far down I went on the side seam. Okay, that's about the same. So there'll be this right here on the side. Now the next step is to take Entredeux, and I will start this at under the arm. Actually, I'm going to clip off the one side that I don't need, and I won't do that on camera, but I will show you. So I'm going to trim off without cutting into the Entredeux right along this edge right here. Just like that. For as much of this as I need to use for the, at least the top part. Okay, so I will be back when I'm done with that and we'll get it attached. I do want to mention two things. The first thing is you want, well, actually three things. You want to make sure that you're not stretching this and this and this. These are areas where the fabric is, it's kind of cut on the bias and it has a lot of stretch. I'm not going to demo, but it does have a lot of stretch. So the first thing you can do is spray it with starch. Don't iron it, just spray it with starch and let it dry. And then when it's completely dry, I usually do that at night. If I'm going to be working on something like this, I'll spray this heavily so that it is completely saturated. Every fiber is coated with starch, and I'm not going to move it. I'm just going to leave it on my ironing board, completely saturated, and let it dry overnight. The next day, I will come in and lightly spray it with starch and press. I do not want to iron it in any way, shape, or form. I do not want to do that with my iron. Well, I found it. I can't believe it. And it was where I thought it would be. So Solvay is a water-soluble stabilizer. I think it's still available. I used to sell it in my shop. There's a list right there. All right. And you also can take, when you get some little scraps of Solvay, you can take the leftover pieces, put it in a bottle of water with a sprayer on it, and then you can use it as a spray-on stabilizer. So that's another option for you. But what I'm going to do with it, because you cannot iron this, I'm just going to cut strips, probably about that wide, to put underneath my garment. Put it underneath my machine needle, and then I will put my fabric on top of it. I can't do that one-handed, but you can see. And then I can stitch it. Well, it'll be more like the bottom and these two pieces on the top, and then I just zigzag those together like that. Okay, so that's how I do that. And then of course I'll end up with just little bits of this, and I'll put it in a bottle of water that I have a spray nozzle on, and then I can use this as a fabric stiffener, I guess. I don't like to iron it. It just really isn't good to iron. So that's where we are at the moment. We are sewing Entredeux to the fabric and just using pieces of Solvay wash away stabilizer. Just kind of have to manipulate it around points. I like to line it up, fold it over on top of itself, and then line it up where there's a hole showing so that you can attach the lace. And I basically just hold it in place. You can pin it, you can clip it, whatever works best. Okay, and I wrote down, when I left, I wrote down my machine setting. So I've got needle down, zigzag stitch, 4.0 and 2.0 with the foot that is called the T-foot, which that's what's on my machine right now. Okay, and then I just zigzag. once you have gone all the way around, you might want to go all the way around again. Remember, this is holding the lace to your camisole. And if it's a washable fabric and you want to wash it in the washing machine, you may want to reinforce by just going zigzagging all the way around again. And even after you rinse the solvay out, you may have to do it. It can be kind of finicky that way, but I'm going to look at this and see if I have any areas like right here. Nope, that looks fine. Okay. So just make sure you check it out. Alright, so the next step would be to take this to a sink, I would say, if you've got a sink where you can just rinse it. You don't have to wash it, you don't have to scrub. You'll be very surprised if you've never used this product before. As soon as it gets wet, it just disappears. So you'll do that, and then I'm going to probably just line dry this instead of tossing it in the dryer. Yep. Okay, so I will be right back. Okay, I just got back from rinsing out the camisole in the bathroom sink. Basically, it's gone. The water is, full of solvay, so I'll drain the sink, rinse this out, and it will be done. I don't know why it won't put, there it goes, okay. I just took this out of the sink. It was less than a minute. I'm gonna let this just line dry, and then I will come back, fix that one spot, and apply the lace. So after the camisole is dry, I will attach this lace to the Entredeux that I just put around the neck edge. So it will be, like this, and then it'll be going on the other side. So if this is the camisole side, the lace will go along this edge. And then I'm not sure, but I think instead of attaching, as you can see, this lace has an edge right here. It goes all the way around that I could actually stitch into. There is a gathering thread in there, and the gathering thread helps you ruffle this lace if you want to. I don't think I have enough to ruffle it, but if I do around the bottom edge, so it's been a couple days. This is completely dry, and I've gone over the stitching around the front and the back again, just to catch any spots that might not have been stitched down real well. And my next step is to completely saturate this with some starch, front and back, and let it air dry, and then press it really well. And I'll probably end up doing that again after I attach the bottom lace. And I think I've decided for sure that I'm going to attach lace to this top. Of course, I'll be trimming away this fabric leading edge, then attach the lace ungathered, and then I'm going to just do a roll and whip, which is a tight zigzag that rolls the fabric to the ends. Once again, I have the hiccups. That rolls the fabric to the inside and then zigzags over the top of it. I hope this machine can do a roll and whip, I will practice on some scrap fabric, make sure that it at least looks like a roll and whip. I'm trying to decide if I don't think I have any right at hand fabric that shows a roll and whip, but I have plenty of scrap fabric that I can practice on that's the exact same fabric as this. And of course, doing that on heavily starched fabric is basically a requirement. It doesn't work at all on unstarched pieces of fabric. I'm not planning to use the Solvay to do this bottom edge. But anyway, once I've done that, I will then attach this lace to the bottom, and that will be the edge of the fabric to the edge of the lace. Starch, dry, trim, attach, and attach, or roll and whip and attach. So that's where we are. And then as far as the straps, I was just kind of letting myself free think about that a little bit. And I believe I have decided, if I can find my elastic. Oh, here we go. I found my elastic. So I think if I make some fabric covers for this out of my remaining petticoat batiste, I'll have to get Candice's measurements, how high up she wants this to go. I'd still have to know the measurements. So yeah, I'll get her measurements from the front to the back on each side. I don't plan to crisscross. I don't want them to be too tight, and I don't want this to be up too high, and I don't want it to be down too low. Neither of those options would work. So we'll get the measurement, and I will decide whether I want to use this or lingerie elastic. So we'll see how that goes. As always, I'm going to be using Faultless Heavy Finish ironing spray starch, and I completely coat it. It looks like it's just been dipped in water. So it's over on the ironing board, drip drying. It doesn't take it very long under a ceiling fan. If it's cold outside and you don't want to run your ceiling fan, it still doesn't take that long. If you do it in the evening before you plan to sew, then the next morning it'll be good to go. But it only takes my things just about a couple of hours to dry. And then you can use the iron if there's any little extra wet spots. But this is my favorite product, and I'm going to go order some more because I'm almost out. I like to have a couple cans on hand. Alright, it's been pressed. I think it took about 45 minutes for this to completely dry. It's real starchy right now. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but I think it could almost stand up by itself. But that's the way I want it. Oh, I forgot. I've got to trim off all this leading edge here. Okay, so I don't know why my camera's not recording. I don't know if I turned it off or if wow, I hope I didn't miss all that. Oh, holy moly. Anyway, rolling and whipping the bottom edge, I tried stitch 011 M2 and I didn't like it. And then I tried stitch on M1, I tried stitch 8 and I didn't like it. And then I just tried a regular zigzag, and I think that's more of a roll and whip. So that's the one I'm going to use, and it will look different because I am using heavily starched fabric. Now I need to clip a bunch of little threads before I begin. I don't want these little threads showing. Okay, I need to back down the width on the stitching. Now, if I need to measure and make sure I have enough of this lace. I do have other laces I could use. And in fact, a longer lace would be kind of pretty. But I think I have enough. So basically it's the same. And you're just going to make sure the edge of your lace is butted up against the edge of your fabric that you just did that roll and whip stitch on. Put it under the needle, and this is that zigzag stitch. I'm going to start with the roll and whip stitch that I used because I liked that length. Make sure you're in needle down and you don't have any fabric underneath. Alright, so this is the front piece attached. And now I'm going to do the back. I'm used to sewing on George, I will admit. It's going to take me some time getting used to this new machine. But I will. It took me a while to get used to George. 20 years ago. If you're new here, George is my Bernina. Alright, so until our lingerie lace arrives and Candice sends me her measurements, which I will ask for tonight, this is what we have so far. I think it's quite pretty. It's a basic little camisole that she can wear anytime she wants to. And I'll see you tomorrow right back here when we put the lace on the shoulders. Hey everyone, I'm back. I had to order some lingerie lace for the camisole and it finally arrived. I think it's really pretty. It's just lace that has organza on either side. So Candice requested 14 inches finished length. I've already prepared one of these to, I think it was 11. Yes, it's 11 inches. Because it stretches very easily to 14. It won't be uncomfortable at all. If it is, I'll take it off and do more because I have plenty. So I'm just going to do another 11 inch. Ooh, it's twisted here, so I'm going to measure from that point. I will press it. I'll be right back. Okay. So now I will cut another 11 inches. My scissors are on the floor naturally. Okay. So let's see, they should be the same. Yep. Now, I have a walking foot on my machine, and if you haven't already seen that video, putting a walking foot on this machine for me is not fun, but I don't want to take it off yet because I'm not finished with that project. So, as you can see, So I'm going to leave it on to attach the lace to this camisole, which is quite a simple thing to do. It is attached. All right, you line up the front in the front right here, and then you've got half of this side seam and half of this side seam over here, so you know it's in the right place. And then pull this back and mark where the dart is in the center part of the dart that's on the front. So I have a mark right here, and I have a mark right here. Okay, so you take your lingerie lace and pin it in so that the elastic is in the center of the dart. So here's the elastic, and I'm going to pin it right there. Okay, and we'll do the same thing with the other piece. And her machine has a delicate cycle, so it should be just fine. Okay, so we're going to attach on the front part first. Again, make sure the elastic is not twisted. And I just use the center, I eyeball it. We'll have to scoot it under the sewing machine. If you have excess fabric, I would trim it. We are done. You could do embroidery, and in fact I'm going to suggest to Candice, if she wants to, she could do some embroidery anywhere she would like. I mean, you can put some up here at the where these straps attach. You could do something really pretty across the front. You could do it all the way across, you know, the back here, down in the corners where the little scallop end is. Do something very light, you could do something heavy, or you could just leave it plain, because all by itself it's quite pretty. So there we have it. I'm going to give it to her tomorrow if they are coming over. I believe they are having spaghetti. So anyway, there it is. It's quite pretty. I'll take some pictures for you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.